as I've accrued over $5 million, I've got 4 kids, and as we're about to purchase a multi-million-dollar property and then put a ton of millions of dollars into that property, I'm trying to pay attention to everything that's going on in the market, including everything that's going on in regulations. And I mentioned the other day in one of our videos on Monday about the Genius Act being passed, and I talked about stablecoins. What are stablecoins and where are they going to go? And essentially a stablecoin is a privately owned digital coin that has to be backed by a US dollar or US Treasury, okay? So that's essentially what we have to think through, is that we're starting to see Amazon, JP Morgan, American Express, MasterCard, Walmart, they want to get into this stablecoin area. And now, because of the IPOs, a lot of pressure from IPO of Circle, okay, and Tether, we're starting to see some good regulation come forward. I believe it's good regulation anyway, because remember, we have to think through what has happened in the past with some crypto companies. Think Terra Luna, think FTX. A lot of normal people lost a lot of money because we get conned by these charlatans who tell us that we're going to make tons and tons of money. They tell us that we're going to get rich quick. They tell us that they're going to save us from our horrible jobs because we haven't been passionate enough about a specific job. And that's one thing I'm going to say to you guys is, when I'm talking about dotting your financial I's and crossing your financial T's, not only am I talking about, making more money than you spend, I'm also talking about saving enough money for retirement in your Roth, saving enough in a 401k or a SEP or whatever that might be in your IRA, right? And then saving enough money so you have an emergency fund, then saving enough money so you can buy a house if you have a family so you're more stable. And then after saving enough money of that, you can start to invest in low risk ETFs. And then after that, you just slowly chip away. You don't go in and say, I'm going to invest in this freaking crypto, this meme coin, because I hate my job, I'm miserable, and I need to get rich quick. Because that's really what people do, and that's what ends up having you make terrible decisions. You're stuck, your relationship sucks, and so you invest in FTX and lose everything. That's what a lot of normal people do. So when we get back to this stablecoin in the Genius Act, which went through the procedural hearing yesterday, okay, some of it got delayed. I had said it was going to get voted on Monday, it got delayed, okay? The reason it got delayed, there's a little bit of a revolt from the Republicans. They're still trying to take the stand to try and get the Epstein files released. That was sort of their half-ass effort to show all the right-wingers, the Trumpinators, that, hey, we're trying to get these Epstein files released, so we're not going to let Crypto Week go forward. We're going to put a little hiccup in Crypto Week. And they didn't really do that. That was just a front, essentially, because the Epstein files won't get released, and all the Trumpinators are going to keep supporting Trumpski. Now, I got to say, Trumpski's appointed Jerome Powell. Remember, Trumpski is the one who appointed Jerome Powell, as much as he dislikes him. He's the one who put him in. And to be clear, Jerome Powell is also the individual who's essentially responsible for the rise of the united aspect of crypto with the modern day banking system. Okay, he has clearly come out in multiple hearings and said, we should allow these things to happen. We should allow stable coins to occur. We should try. Stable coins are going to be the aspect that bring crypto and fiat together in this with the digital tokens. Okay. Now, the 3 big factors inside the Genius Act. Okay, they're going to be reserve backed. Stable coins will be reserve backed. So this means that if you have a stable coin, so let's say right now Circle is just popping off. Okay, and it's going to have to follow these regulations. Tether is popping off. Do we know if they are back? Do we know that they have a reserve? We don't. Okay. Now, what we're going to see is that they'll say that they do, blah, 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 just like Terra Luna, just like FTX, but we don't actually know. Now, what we're going to end up seeing is that to be a stable coin, you either have to be matched with a treasury bill, okay, or you have to be matched with the dollar. Okay, they have to be having this reserve. Okay, they have to have the reserve. So the first big aspect here with the Genius Act is that they have to have the reserve. The second big aspect around the Genius Act is that they can get audited, and they can get audited on the federal level and on the state level. So this is another big factor here, is that the SEC can come in and they can look at Circle, they can look at any of these companies that are going to start to rise up from the stable coins, and they're going to be able to look at it. And what I think is going to end up happening with the stablecoin market is that we're going to see that's going to be hundreds and hundreds of stable coins, right? And I probably within 10 years, that'll get whittled down to, let's say, 10 to 15 key players, maybe a little more than that. But that's my theory on this, is that it's going to start off really, really big, and then it's going to slowly back off and slowly come down. But now we're seeing that the stable coins are going to be invested in the dollar, okay, and in what the U.S. government is offering. And we're already seeing that stable coins currently are like the 10th highest investment or holding of U.S. Treasury bills. So that's like a big factor here, is I think stable coins have more money loaned from more money invested in the U.S. than like Germany and Japan, if I remember correctly. Now, going back to all this, so what the Genius Act is saying is it has to have a reserve, okay? Has to have a reserve. It has to be transparent, and it has to be that you're audited. You can be audited, okay? And if you don't abide by those, you're not a stable coin. So these companies that are going to start to pop up, you're going to start to see things get stronger in support of the government, hopefully in support of the federal government. And on top of that, this is putting a lot of money and a lot of value into U.S.-backed companies, okay? And the big factor that I believe here is that when we're looking at different players like stocks or cryptocurrency, we're seeing something like, I believe what's going to happen is most of these, if not all of them, maybe not every single one, but most of these are going to be built on Ethereum. And so the value of Ethereum is going to go up. You have someone like Tom Lee, you have multiple different companies, BitMine Immersion, who's just put like $800 million or $700 million into Ethereum, and they're creating their own Ethereum reserves, which in turn is going to increase the value of Ethereum. And then all of these US companies are going to be building specific stable coins on Ethereum, okay? And all of that crypto over here is going to unite with the US dollar. And so that's a really, really important factor here, and a simple explanation on how this is going to play. And then the central bank, what is it, the CBDC, the central bank digital coin, my understanding will not, it's going to be an anti-play here, where they will not allow the US federal government to have its own version of a stable coin. Instead, the stable coins will essentially play that role. The stable coin investment in the US dollar, the stable coin investment into the Treasury is what's going to play that role, instead of the US releasing its own United States stablecoin dollar or whatever it might be. So the interesting part here that I want everybody to understand too, is along these lines with the Genius Act, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be it's a financial revolution. Like, genuinely, a lot of people will throw that word around, but it is actually going to be like this huge catalyst into the digital token world. Now we're going to start to see a lot of really cool stuff happen, and a lot of fees are going to start to drop off. A lot of the middlemen, like what's crazy is like Visa, MasterCard, they're realizing like they've got to get into this space. Otherwise, as a company, they will cease to exist. Like, people will stop using credit cards because they're going to start to use stable coins. There's going to be lower fees. Merchants are going to have lower fees. The transactions are going to happen faster at the terminals. Even people who are building the actual hardware, they're going to be the ones making a lot of money. So Visa, MasterCard, American Express have to create their own, and they're probably going to actually come out with their own hardware as well, I'm assuming, because they will have that infrastructure set up, or at least they can partner with somebody who does. So the stablecoin stuff and the Genius Act, I think, is a really interesting play. I wanted to cover that because it is going to get passed today. It went through the procedural hearing yesterday. Today is July 19th. It's going to go through, I would say, by this afternoon. And then there's two other bills that the rescission crap that they're talking about, and then they're also, the central bank digital coin that they're talking about, and then the I forget the second one. Oh gosh, the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is the other one. I'm probably going to do a video on the Clarity Act with the second one. I hope this helps somebody understand this a little bit further. This doesn't mean that you should go put all your money in Ethereum. What this means is that, or put into the stable coins, you can look at companies like Circle. You can see who's on the rise at creating stable coins, but you have to go back and dot your financial I's, cross your financial T's, find a job that you're passionate about, and do that job so that you make more money than you spend. I hope this helps somebody out there. Peace.